Good morning and welcome to our UBC Learning Circle Indigenous Health Administration Leadership Program, IHALP 2025 info information session. Today's conversation is presented in partnership with the Center for Excellence in Indigenous Health. We'd like to thank the First Nations Health Authority for generously funding the UBC Learning Circle and allowing us to have these conversations. Before we formally begin, I'd like to acknowledge with respect and gratitude that I'm joining you from the unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh Nations. Please feel free to introduce yourself and let us know which nation you're calling in from in the chat box. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Seren Squawkin. I am Syilx Okanagan on my mother's side and Hickory Apache and Belgian settler on my father's side. I'll be your moderator for today's discussion, and joining us today working behind the scenes is our production coordinator, Cynthia, and our program assistant, Kira. They'll be interacting with everyone in the chat. And finally, before we get into today's discussion, I will provide a gentle heads up that the topics covered may be sensitive or emotionally triggering. Please make sure you're looking after yourself, and if at any point in time you need to talk to an elder, friend, counselor, or family member, don't hesitate to do so. We have some prompts in the chat if you need additional support. I'll turn it over to our guests to introduce themselves.
Okay, good morning, everyone. My name is Melanie Rivers. I'm from the Squamish First Nation. My ancestral name is Teal'tuit. I'm also of Scottish ancestry from the Fraser clan, and I work at the Center for Excellence in Indigenous Health with this program, the Indigenous Health Administration and Leadership Program, which is a long name, so we call it IHALP by short. So you'll hear us use IHALP probably for the remainder of the time together this morning. But before we get started, I want to first pass it over to Corrine Paul from Musqueam First Nation to get us started off in a good way and get us ready to talk about the program. And then we'll have the rest of the team introduce themselves.
Yeah, Melanie. I Tennisqualawin, Quincy, Quetznala, Nisqui, Ciatella, Twila, Quethami, Quatana, Colleen, Quenisqui, E, Thanaten, Gale Point, E, Quathna, Manalsh, Robert Point, Quathna Sila, Francis Point, E. Tenasila, Minnie Thomas, Tsleil-Waututh, Tanasen, Musqueam. Setsemseni, E. Tlawala, Ciatella, Siam, Heitzepka, Siam, Nasiaya. My honored friends and relatives, I am happy to see you all here today. I want to thank all of you who have come here today. My name is Corrine, and my mother is Gail Point, and my late father is Robert Point, and my late grandfather was Francis Point, and my late grandmother was Minnie Thomas from Tsleil-Waututh. I am from Musqueam, and I raise my hands to all of you esteemed ones who have come here today. I am so grateful for all of you. I would like to welcome you here today to the unceded traditional territories of the Musqueam people. The one thing that I would really like to say is that this course and a few other like it at UBC, offered here at UBC, are the greatest strides towards lessening the gap disparity for Indigenous people that I have ever known in my whole career. I worked for the Musqueam Indian Band for 33 years as the health director. I then transitioned over to the First Nations Health Authority as the Community Relations Manager for another 2 years. And now I am working in the land of my grandmother in Tsleil-Waututh as the Director of Community Development and the Director of Health and Wellness. All through my career, I have met and worked with different people in different areas, social workers, people in the justice field, and funders and different agencies. And I always find that there is a huge lack of information around First Nations people. There are so many people, even though Vancouver has so many people, that don't even know that there are Indian reserves here. And there are three. There are the Musqueam, the Squamish, and the Tsleil-Waututh people who were here long before Vancouver ever was. So I'm so thankful for this course and the wonderful, rich information where we tell our truths, and they're like pearls of wisdom. So thank you all for joining us here today, and I hope that you choose to partake. Heitzkasiam, Heitzepkasiam. Thank you all.
Wojtka, thank you, Corrine, for starting us off in a good way. Really appreciate it. So I'm going to give everyone else a chance to introduce themselves that's here today, and then we'll get into the overview of the programs. So I'm going to start with Cynthia Tam.
Hi, everyone. I'm Cynthia Tam, and I'm a senior program assistant at UBC Extended Learning. I support the administrative side of the IHALP program, and I correspond with potential applicants like yourself.
So Cynthia's our rock in the program. She's our glue, and so if you're sending emails and connecting, you'll be connecting with her. So next I'll have Neha say hello.
Hi everyone, my name is Neha Shivhari, and I work with Cynthia, with Karen, Melanie, and others as a program team to ensure the best learning experiences that we can provide you. Thank you.
Thank you, Neha. Our team meets every 2 weeks basically over the year to support the program and plan for the program. So I'm going through my Zoom boxes here. I'm going to ask Kendra next to say hello. She's currently in the program, and she's going to share a bit later about her experience in the program, so you can hear what it's like as a person being in the program.
Hello, Tansa Gaganawiak, Kendra Marasti, Natisnigasun. I am a student currently in the IHALP program, working, living, playing in Treaty 1 territory, Winnipeg, Manitoba. I am a nurse by trade, an RNBN. I've been an RNBN for about 8 years now. So, I guess being a floor nurse for 8 years, you get to experience a lot of different policies, a lot of different managers, a lot of different workplaces. So with all my years and experience, I wanted to do more education and learn about policies, learning how to make changes at that higher level, right? Because I felt like a lot of the current policies we run under is not very fitting. It doesn't serve the Indigenous population, which I work for and I have a passion for working for. So I took the leap, applied, and I got in. And I have to say that it's been very fulfilling. It's not your typical um I guess, post-secondary experience for everyone who has post-secondary experience. It could be kind of traumatizing. And as an Indigenous person, right? So when I came into class, I expected the same, routine, the same cycle. But that hasn't happened. It's been so safe. It's been so welcoming. It's it just fills up your cup, you know. We as Indigenous people, we face so much racism, we face so much sexism as a woman, like it's it's sad in a way, right? That we have to fight the system. But when you come here into this program, like it's an amazing experience. The assignments um are not like hard. Like they're not like difficult and like make you cry and make you question like why are you going back to school. They're very reflecting, and you get to choose a lot of topics that you want to talk about in your assignments, and you just create a community with all the students, all the teachers, all the assistants. That is, oh, just like I said, fills up your cup again, gives you hope, gives you belief, and it's very I could just say for myself, it gave me a new fire. It restarted a fire in me to become, a stronger advocate for Indigenous people, Indigenous health and well-being. And I'm just really excited for the new cohorts to come in and start learning and start building our community even bigger, because we're all from Canada. Like I said, like I'm from Manitoba and I'm going to school at UBC. So you could do it. It's not difficult. Classes are only Friday for a couple hours max. And um it's doable if you have a full workload, if you have children, if you have a family. It's they support you. They support you if you can't meet the deadlines and stuff like that. Like it's a very supportive education system here. So if you're thinking about it, just please apply. You never know. They could say yes or no. And that was my motto. They could either say yes or no, and they said yes. And it was for the better. So, with that, thank you for this time. I really appreciate it. And I hope to see some of you guys, soon and be on this journey with you. So, thank you so much to UBC and IHELP and everyone in this program.
Wojcika, Kendra, I got chills as you were sharing there. I too get lifted up every time I spend time with the IHELP group and feel the power in the circle of all the amazing participants and experience that's there. And it does provide me with hope as well. I've worked in the Indigenous health world for many, many years, and it can be hard and tiring, and so I find it uplifting to be with this group. Okay, so next I'm going to ask Garrity to introduce yourself, and then we'll give you a bit of time later, Garrity, as well, to talk a bit more about the role.
Great, thank you, Melanie. Yeah, welcome to everyone. So glad you could join to learn about the program. And I'm Garrity Reese, and I'm calling in from the unceded ancestral lands of Semiahmoo today, working from home. And I am the peer mentor for the current IHALP cohort, and I will be for our upcoming group as well. So really look forward to getting to know all of you, and I'll tell you a bit more about myself and my role shortly. Thank you.
Wojcika, thank you, Garrity. So now I'll ask Karen to say hello. Karen is with Extended Learning, which there's two programs here that partner together to offer IHELP, and just to say a welcome in a few words.
Hi, everyone. It's wonderful to see or to know that there are 75 participants in this session. That's really exciting. So my name's Karen Rolson, and I work behind the scenes with Cynthia and Neha on the extended learning side of the partnership. So I'm logging in from UBC campus on the unceded ancestral territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh. I'm in the downtown campus. I'm so grateful to be able to continue to partner with Melanie and the team at the Center for Excellence in Indigenous Health on this program. This started before all of our time. I mean, not we were maybe alive, but the conversation started back in 2002 when the center before the current center approached us and said, you know, we've got this idea of there's a need in the community, and would you partner with us? Because extended learning is the continuing education part of campus. We're the non-credit side of campus. We work with adult learners like yourselves. And at that time, we're starting to get into online learning too. So it's been such a joy, and particularly this window of time right now. I think Melanie referred to Cynthia as the rock. I would also say Melanie's kind of the rock of this program too. It's been wonderful to partner and to push some of the boundaries at this institution. Kendra, I love that you said, what did you say? It's not typical. Yes, that's what we want, right? I mean, even this pathway that people can get recognition towards one of the master's programs at UBC, that's huge. That is absolutely huge for this institution. So the sense of community, the challenging colonial practices, it's all of the things that we're trying to do. So lovely to be just doing a shout out to this program and encouraging people to apply. Thank you and welcome.
Good. Thank you, Karen. Okay, so I'm going to start into my slides and I'm going to overview the program, and we'll have a Q&A period towards the end there. Okay. So welcoming everyone today, which we've done. We've met the team. It's here today. And so if I were to sum up this program in one sentence, kind of the purpose of this program, it would be to promote the health and wellness of Indigenous peoples. So this is about our people and our communities, our families, and it's also about the participants that come to the program in terms of their careers and their learning that they apply into their work lives and career advancements and things like that. So that's our purpose, and we always keep that in mind, that we're here to work for Indigenous people. And the program is rooted in the core values of resiliency, culture, and Indigenous perspectives. So we'll go through all that a little bit more, but that's, to sum everything up, that's what this program is about. And as we said, it's delivered in partnership. And I think it's important to highlight around this partnership, the longevity of it being from 2003, 2002. That's a long time for a partnership. And it's as Indigenous people and at the Center for Excellence in Indigenous Health, where I work, having partners that are true allies and true partners is really important. And that's what we have here in terms of this partnership. We bring our strengths that we have to the table and the respect. And it's an example, a model of how effective partnership can happen. Because as I said, I've worked in Indigenous health work for many years out there in the world, and it's not always easy. We face a lot of racism, a lot of stereotyping, and a lot of tokenism too. So I just wanted to highlight that part of the partnership. And also, this would be another sort of summing up sentence in terms of what people take away from this program and what it's designed for. So it's designed to build and enhance your knowledge of health administration, so you can confidently design, lead, and deliver holistic health and wellness programming in Indigenous organizations and communities. And so it is centered on Indigenous approaches and traditional teachings. We start every in-person session where we come together for 3 days in person with a circle, and giving everyone that time to share and reflect in the circle. We have elders that come into the program, and our instructors are 90% Indigenous. We do sometimes have allies that join as instructors. And so that's our center. Of course, we do also talk about other approaches in the sort of Western system, because that's the system that people are working in, and need to be able to kind of balance those together. So our aim is to build together a culturally safe and supportive learning environment. This is a picture from the graduation ceremony. I believe this was last year yet, because there's Garrity. One of my favorite days of the year, because we come together to celebrate the achievements of the group. And some of these people say, like, they've been to residential school and they were afraid to come on campus, like really fearful. And then to stand at the end of the session and have their family there, and then there'll be family there that like went to residential school, and just to see the success of the group finishing together. And then saying building together a culturally safe and supportive learning environment, because it's really about the learning community as well, and what everyone brings to the learning circle. And so much of the learning happens between the participants that come into the program. And that's where the richness is as well, because everyone's coming from different work locations, different cultures. And so the instructors facilitate a lot of, bringing that knowledge and wisdom from the group to the learning. It's not just about, it's not that sort of typical lecture style where an instructor shares and it's a one-way learning environment. It's a circle. And so that also makes it different every year as well, depending on who's in the circle. So supports in the program. So over and over the years, we just hear how people become friends in the program. They maintain connections. People connect with mentors in the program, and people stay in touch, because it isn't easy working. Some people are working in rural and remote and isolated places, and you might be related to everyone in the community. And so having people with a similar education experience and that you can connect with. And sometimes it feels like the circles that we do when we come together really are like a support network as well. So we have a dedicated peer mentor role, which Garrity will share a bit more in a moment. We really, as we go through the program every year, we kind of reflect on what's needed, what do we need to change, what's changing in terms of how the world is working as well. We went fully online during the pandemic, and prior to that, it was always in person. And the cost of everyone coming together in person was hard for people to, sometimes if they're coming from remote places. So after the pandemic, we've built a bit of a hybrid scenario with the program, where there's some in person and then some online. So and one piece that we really felt we needed was a peer mentor role. So someone that's been through the program to be there just to provide connection and support. And because each course has different instructors, to have one person that's kind of the same for everyone throughout the 5 courses. And you can see there some of our other supports in terms of elders. The instructors are all really passionate about working with IHALP participants. And we have lists of mental health supports that are geared for Indigenous people and learning resources as well. Some people might come into the program with not a lot of writing experience, and so we do have some resources to support that way as well. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to Garrity now to share a bit more about peer mentor role and what that's been like, and if you want to share as well, Garrity, what it was like for you, because you're a year out of being a participant in the program.
Thank you, Melanie. Great to be here and to speak with all of you about the program, as I was saying. My ancestry is mixed, settler, European, and Indigenous. European on my father's side and mother's side, and on my mother's side, Coast Salish and Tlakatna. And so in 2023-24, I participated as a student in the program, and then in the next cohort went on to be the peer mentor for the program this year, and then again for the upcoming cohort as well. So really welcome all of you, and hope to see you in the program and get to know each of you. So as peer mentor, like Melanie was saying, I'm here throughout the whole course of the program to be a support to you in whatever ways you need. So on the Fridays with class, we have just a casual connect time where we can come together at tea time in the morning, virtual tea time, and just have some time to ground ourselves, to say hello, to talk about what's happening in our week. So a place for community before our class time, before more of the learning and the instruction happens. And then with that connection time, I can also support with what's happening in the program. So assignments, working through the readings, there's questions and curiosity that comes forward of how to approach the learning, how to approach the work and the assignments itself. And happy to do that as well. We have some students who are more comfortable with the written work. We also have students who complete their work through verbal, like video, audio recording. So there's a lot of flexibility, like Kendra was mentioning, to meet what your needs are, your learning needs, and the ways that you work best with the information you're learning. So that's kind of the more practical aspect of the peer mentor and my role, and what I'm here to support you in what your needs are throughout that year. And then in terms of my experience as a student and in the peer mentor role, I think everyone spoke really eloquently and accurately to what I've found is that it's been such a valuable learning experience for me. I've been through post-secondary, through a counseling degree, and I work as a counselor now at Kwantlen University. But this program is so different from that typical hierarchy of the instructor in a classroom setting. This is really a shared learning. And that's what's been so valuable for me, is the wisdom that we all have in our work, in our personal experience, in having to navigate all the ups and downs in advocating for Indigenous health in our workplaces, and being able to share those experiences, that there's such a large group of people with such a heartfelt intention to bring good work forward and to increase the connection in community, to share in the struggles of working in colonial systems, of navigating bureaucracy, and to have a group together that all shares that intention and shares our experiences and wisdom in a learning environment has just been so different and so inspiring and uplifting for me in my work, that it's given me strength. It's given me hope to move forward in the work as well. So I don't think there's any program that compares to what happens in the connection and the shared learning that we have. So just amazing experience as a student. And that's why I was really honored to go into the peer mentor role as well, because it was such a great experience for me as a student. So happy to continue in that and support our learning and your learning as we go forward. Yeah, so welcome. Hope to see you in the future, and thank you.
Thank you, Garrity. Really appreciate you sharing from your perspective. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the slides. Okay, and we will be getting to how to apply towards the end there as well. So as I said, the program's taught primarily by Indigenous instructors. I can let you know who the instructors were this past year. So we had Daniel Mitchell, we had Drew St. Laurent, we had Lauren Brown, Reciprocal Consulting, who are Indigenous evaluation consultants, Christopher Horsethief, and Len Pierre. So the other thing to mention about the program, well, I think it's already been mentioned, but the flexibility of the program. So it is designed for people who are working. Well, you don't have to be working, but it allows people to work and be with their families and not have to travel all the time. So there are three in-person sessions, and then the rest is virtual sessions. And then there's, well, we'll get into the assignments, but basically that there's flexibility to allow you to work and be at home and be a part of the program, or travel from other provinces, as we've got people traveling from far as well. So we talked about the connections. We had some lovely photos from the grad last year, including one person that joined the grad over Zoom. And so this is what the schedule looks like. So you get a sense of what it's like. And it is important to, even though there's flexibility, to set aside the time for the classes and for the in-person learning sessions, because those are a mandatory part of the program, and they're designed in such a way that people can still work. So the way that the courses work, so there's 5 courses, and they're either virtually on Friday mornings from 9:30 to noon. So seemed like Fridays were the best day for people in terms of balancing work and classes. Many people get permission from their employer to have that time, or even use their work time towards school time. So everyone has a different arrangement with their employer, but many people support this as a, supporting their employees to further their education, because people are directly applying the program, the assignments to their work. And then when we do come together in person, which is on the UBC Vancouver campus, we do 3 days, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday, from 9 a.m. to 4:30 each day. And so those are a wonderful opportunity to connect in person and build those relationships. We start the first course in person so people can get to know each other so that they can be more comfortable once we get into the Zoom classes. And when it is an in-person course, then there aren't the weekly classes afterwards. There's assignments afterwards. And then there's always the option for the tea time with Garrity on Friday mornings. And that's to maintain the connection over the time after going back from being in person. So this upcoming year, the in-person sessions are in April, September, and March. And then the schedule is also on our website there. So if you're thinking of applying, really important to look at that schedule and see how it might work for your situation. And then there's weekly readings and 1 to 3 assignments per course. So the courses are a little bit different lengths. Some of them are a bit longer. We've got one that's quite short. For the most part, there's 3 assignments per course, except for the last one, which has 1 assignment. And then there's also online discussions and virtual office hours with instructors as needed as well. So that's kind of the rhythm of the program in terms of getting together virtually and in person. And so, of course, if you're thinking of joining the program, applying to the program, is this program for me or who's in this program? Because the learning happens, we got lots of pictures of you, Garrity, in our slides. Because this program is learning from each other. It's also important to know who's in the room. So it's designed for people with a passion for making a difference in health and well-being of Indigenous people. So some people come from remote and rural areas, some people come from urban settings. And so that's sometimes people working in First Nations health centers or friendship centers or health authorities in Indigenous program positions, Métis health programs. So there's a whole range, and also nonprofit organizations. So there's that kind of mix of where people are working. Some people come to the program with extensive experience working in Indigenous health. They might have been working 20 plus years in health. And some people come into the program, they're new to working in health. Maybe they've been working in other programs with Indigenous people. Now they want to work in health. So we have some of the participants are a bit younger and some are more seasoned. Someone called me once, the first time someone called me seasoned. Oh, does that mean I'm older? So we have a whole mix of ages. Basically people who are interested in a career in Indigenous health programming. And we have the mix of First Nations, sometimes some Inuit folks, mostly First Nations and Métis. And oops, that advanced before I wanted, oops. And we have some non-Indigenous allies that join the program. But the people who aren't Indigenous that join the program, this isn't a program if you're new to learning about Indigenous people. It's for people that are living and working with Indigenous people. So some people are working in an Indigenous organization and they take this program, but they're not coming without knowledge of Indigenous people. And that's to create that space where the participants that come in the program don't need to be educating their peers about what it means to be Indigenous and the history of what's happened here in Canada and current situations in Canada. So that everyone that's in the room already has a solid understanding of Indigenous people and the history and how to work with Indigenous people. So that's who comes to the program. Always a powerful circle. I feel the electric energy when we sit and circle together and hear about the work that people are doing. Really inspiring people. So would you learn in the program? Basically, each of these bullet points represents one course in the program. I'm not going to go through the details of each course. You can read about that on our website. But basically, there's a whole course on communication and leadership skills, and that is from Indigenous values and teachings. What does it mean to be a leader in an Indigenous organization or community? And when we say leader, some people are in formal leadership roles, like they might be a health director. Some people are maybe leading a program, or so leadership can mean many things. Not everyone has to be in a formal leadership position. There's a whole course on the fundamentals that, how do you hire and retain staff, specifically from Indigenous contexts. What are some of the challenges that are faced in that? And what are some of the innovative ways that people are doing human resources? I could talk about that for forever. There's so much, that can be done around supporting staff, to take time off for the appropriate amounts of time off for grieving or ceremonial activities, or how we hire and value Indigenous knowledge. There's how to plan programs, how to do financial management, budgeting, those sort of nitty-gritty things, which some people love and some people are a little bit find them a little scarier. And then there's a whole course talking about evaluation, policy, and research. And that, again, everything's always in relation to how this impacts Indigenous people. There's an information management course. That's our shorter course. And there's a course talking about integrating Indigenous perspectives, teachings, and traditional healing into health programming, although that is woven throughout all the courses, that theme. So that's the 5 courses people go through as a cohort from start to finish. So it's not new people every course, same group. So how does this support people's careers? And this is what we've learned from people that are what they're telling us, but also through a survey that we did. But enhancing employability, so providing with the current knowledge around Indigenous health and wellness. So all of our instructors are people working in the field, so they're coming with their current and relevant experience. I think it's a highly desirable skill set to know how to work with Indigenous people, no matter what setting that's in. Building relationships and networks, and aiding in finding meaningful employment. So some people find new jobs, some people get promotions, some people apply the program, to their direct role. They might not be planning to change their role, but we celebrate that when people come with sometimes people hire each other in the program as well. So there's a lot of good networking that way as well. All right, so Kendra already shared a little bit. I don't know if you want to share a little bit more now that I've shared some, or if you want to speak after maybe people ask some questions.
Yeah, I just forgot to say who I am. I'm a Swampy Cree woman from the Treaty 5 territory, a Passamaquoddy Cree Nation from my father's side. And then I'm also Swampy Cree from my mother's side, so 100% Swampy Cree woman. And I am open for questions as a student if anyone wants to ask specifically for me, because I went a little bit crazy and I applied to 3 programs, so I got into all 3. So I'm a super, super duper full-time student, managing 3 programs at the same time. So yeah, if any questions about like the experience so far in person, how that looks like. I think too, we forgot to add is that there is going to be some financial help there's a opportunity to apply for some financial to help you get out there, pay for the program, stuff like that. There's really no textbooks either in this program. It's all articles, reading online kind of thing. So that's another worry for future students. Yeah. So other than that, no, not really anything unless specifically questions towards, being a student. Thank you so much.
Good. Thank you, Kendra. Okay. And I see questions in the chat there, but we'll get to those in a moment. Okay, so in terms of applying to the program, what education experience do you need? So we welcome learners from a variety of backgrounds. So as I said, some people come to the program, they've got a bachelor's, a master's, or different, a few diplomas. And some people come to the program with their grade 12. So there's that range. People do need internet access because we do have Zoom classes and the ability to do their assignments in word processing. And although we do have option for people to do a little video recording as well for their assignments. And basically people with experience in Indigenous healthcare program or facility or experience working with Indigenous community organization. And a willingness to contribute to the group discussions and projects and encourage other participants in their learning. So people that are looking for that collaborative learning environment. And there'll be questions on the application around that. So the other question we get commonly is, well, how much time would I need to set aside for this program? And that's a really important thing to reflect on in your situation, whether you have the time between your work and your personal life. So we've gone over what the actual in-class time looks like. I don't know, Garrity and Kendra might say that we need to adjust these hours in terms of the reality of what it's to do these weekly readings about 2 hours per week. There's some 2 to 3 readings per week plus some optional readings. Some of them are also they might be Indigenous help reports or videos or articles. Then our virtual sessions, so ensuring that Friday mornings would work for your schedule, and then looking at the schedule in terms of the in-person learning and blocking those into your calendar. Assignments and online discussions about 2 to 4 hours per week. And the optional virtual tea with Garrity. So that's Friday mornings, 9 to 9:30. And in terms of the in-person commitment, including circles, small group discussions, and lectures with plenty of time to learn and ask questions. So that's roughly what it looks like. And then in terms of applying, so we do have a formal admissions procedure and admissions committee that reviews the applications. There are limited spaces. We do keep the program to roughly 25 because we want to ensure that everyone has the opportunity for their voice to be a part of the program. So too big, it's harder for people to have that voice. And so that's our sort of upper limit. Our next cohort begins March 28th with the orientation, and that's a virtual orientation. And in terms of 2 deadlines here, if you are thinking of applying, I'd encourage, and you think you may want to apply for some of the limited bursary or funding that's available, to apply by January 29th. But the final deadline to apply is February 29th. I'm going to pass it over to Karen and after this slide to talk a bit more about the funding opportunities. So how are participants selected? So we review the applications. The applications are you submitting your resume, submitting a cover letter, and then there's a short form to fill out in terms of some questions around applying, why you want to take the program. So these are the things that we're looking for in your application, and there's questions in the application around those pieces, and then you'd be notified by email after applications have been reviewed. So looking for passion for contributing to Indigenous health and wellness, alignment of your interests and goals with the program approaches and learning objectives, suitability of your previous education, work experience, and potential to benefit Indigenous communities. All right, so we do our best as a program to find external funding source opportunities for our participants because we know that can be a challenge. Many do find funding through their nation or their employer might send them as a professional development opportunity. And this year we have secured some funds from BC Future Skills Grant, but I'm going to pass it to Karen to talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, some of you, I might just speak in general about the Stronger BC Future Skills Grant, and I'll put a link in the chat about it. This is a new grant that the BC government created, and we're only in the second year of offering it. So what happens is that higher ed institutions across the province, it's only for BC residents. So higher institutions across the province submit applications to have programs considered for the award, considered for the Future Skills Grant. So it's a grant for anyone, residents of BC over 19 years old, to get $3,500. Oh, thank you for popping the links there. Actually, I will put the BC government one in there too. To get $3,500 to go towards a program that can, a non-credit program that can help you sort of advance in your career and your job prospects. And so IHALP was accepted last year. The tricky thing is that it's mostly for programs that start in the fall and then some in the winter. And so we're kind of at the tail end. We've got the university has a certain allocation of funds for this group. And as Melanie mentioned, most people secure funding through their nation or employer or other Indigenous organizations. But we do find that some people aren't able to access those funds. And so if you think you're one of those people, then apply by that January 29th deadline, which we realize is just around the corner, so that you could be considered for the Future Skills Grant. Because if you're accepted in the program and there's still funds in the UBC Future Skills Grant pot, then you could get those funds. I hope that's clear enough. So if you wait until the February 19th deadline, then it's likely all those funds will be gone. So that's why we're encouraging those who may need access to those funds to apply earlier. All right.
So Karen, did you mention that's for BC residents?
So BC residents, yes, this is a BC government thing. So we do know that, including Kendra, there are people who come to this program, and we always welcome people from other provinces and territories to come. This particular fund is for BC residents. There's a question here about, do you apply to you have to get accepted to IHALP first. So you've got to apply to IHALP, apply to the program, and then we're going to try to turn around a really pretty quick review, and then you can let us know if you're interested in those funds, and then we can kind of steer you in the right direction. Yeah. Okay. And if there's any other questions, or we're having a Q&A at the end, so I can answer any other questions then too.
Thank you, Karen. So let's see, I think I'm almost at the end of, yeah. I'm just looking for my, oh, okay, I'm gonna stop share now. Okay, so we'll get into Q&A now. And I'm gonna look back through the chat here. I don't know if, Serene, if you have any ones you want to highlight to me.
Yeah, I have a few here. The first one that's on my question page is they're just wondering about the in-person portion of this program. Like, is it an absolute requirement? If so, just wondering because this person has young kids and it's hard to find, hard to get away and also find childcare.
Yeah, I understand that. Yes, the in-person is a required part of the program. The in-person part is so rich in terms of the connections that are made, and because it's 3 full days, like it's a whole course in 3 days, that piece is really important. Someone is sick and something happens in someone's life that they're not able to make a session, we do make arrangements for that. But yeah, it is important to be able to find that way to be there. Some people bring their children to travel with them. Of course, everyone has different circumstances, but that's one way that people have done that as well. It is one reason why we have made the program partially online, because it does make it easier for people to have that opportunity to be at home more frequently, but also still get the in-person. There's the pros and cons of the in-person and the virtual. Like it's a little harder to stay engaged in a virtual environment. And the benefits of the virtual environment is people don't have to pay for the travel costs to come. They get to stay in their community or where they live, stay at home. And then the in-person ones, the benefits are the focus time. There's nothing sort of pulling people away, and that opportunity to connect and build those relationships. So I hope that answered that.
Yeah, just to build on that question, another person's wondering, do they live in the Lower Mainland area? Do they need to stay on campus when the in-person sessions happen, or do they need to find their own accommodations when the time comes? They're just wondering, just for planning for their overall budget for their work.
Yeah, so it depends, I guess, on how far away you live and how much you want to commute. So you don't have to stay on campus. If you feel your commute time is too long back and forth, then you might want to stay on campus or near campus. Some people arrange to room together to reduce costs as well. But yeah, that would depend on how far you're coming and how much, but not mandatory to stay on campus.
How many people usually are there in a cohort?
So usually 20 to 25, and we don't like to go too far above 25 because of what I mentioned before, that ensuring we have this, it's sort of an ideal learning number in terms of the energy of the group and people's ability to contribute to the learning.
Our next question is, can you tell us the difference between IHALP and IPH?
Yeah, someone asked me that the other day as well. I don't think there's anyone in the room here that's been to IPH. Maybe there's someone in the chat that has. So IPH is the Indigenous Public Health Institute, and that's another program that our center runs, the Center for Excellence in Indigenous Health. So some people decide to take both programs. Some people have taken them both at the same time. Some people do one and then they do the other. I think partially like some people just, oh, Kendra has, yay, Kendra. So I'll finish summarizing, and then if you want to share from your perspective how they might be similar or different. IHELP is focused on Indigenous health administration. So I think there's maybe a little more of the nitty gritty in terms of like, how to hire people, do budgets, directly applying the homework to your work environment if you want, and it's a cohort that goes through the same group of people through the 5 courses. The Indigenous Public Health Institute is, maybe I would summarize it in being a little more focused on Indigenous public health approaches. So there's there's different courses in that program. You can maybe someone could pop the link in the chat as well. We also have a recorded learning circle session on that. If people want to learn more about that program, you can have a look at the recording from, I think it was last fall. And that program, people come for an institute, they call it. So you do 2 courses in 1 week in person. So it's a fully in-person program, but you can take one institute at a time. So people apply to each institute. So if you wanted to just take one, just to come for 2 courses, you could do that. Just come to one institute, or if you want to do the whole certificate, it's a graduate level certificate. And both programs, I forgot to mention that, but both programs now have a formalized pathway to the Master's in Health Administration program, which is another amazing partnership that's pushing the boundaries, I would say, in terms of providing that acknowledgement of the prior learning in these programs to the Master's in Health Administration. So, Kendra, do you want to share a little bit your experience from, you've been doing both at the same time as well, right?
Yeah, both at the same.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I'm a super duper full-time student.
Yay.
So yeah, I started my IPH journey not last year, the year before that. So I think it's a 2-year program if you're accepted into each institution. So the institutions are twice a year. Right now I think they're running in February and August. It's 1 full week on campus. And like Melanie said, there's 2 courses usually for the whole week. So one in the morning, one in the afternoon. It's very more intense than IHELP because, like I said, you have to get all that content and learn all that content in 1 week, and your assignments are daily. Yeah, so intense that wise. Like you learn, you talk, 9 hours in the day, and then you go, to your room, you go home, whatever, do all your readings, do your discussion posts. There's group work. So for each course, so one morning class, one afternoon class, you have to do group work in each. And then that's it. Like there's no after assignments after you've done that full week. You just have to wait till the next institution. And I think that's it. Like it's intense, but it's good learning. Like we're in class all day, we talk, we learn from different instructors, again, different Indigenous instructors as well. Safe space, lots of laughs, we get to talk a lot about our experiences in the different health fields, and it's people from all over Canada again. Um, and that's also an enriching experience, and it goes hand in hand with the IHELP. I find like they bounce off each other, all the same ideas and stuff like that. But like Melanie said, the IHELP is more like leadership and administration side of Indigenous health, and then Indigenous public health. You're talking, about like um, ethics and research and um stuff like that, social determinants of health. So more, into that type of content. But it's all good learning all around. And then for the master's portion, that pathway, I believe our peer mentor Reese is actually in that program. Like she took this, IHELP, and then got into the master's, right? So I don't know if Reese would like to speak on her journey doing the master's portion after completing this course.
Thanks, Kendra. Yeah, I was just thinking as you were speaking about the difference between those two programs. I did find IHELP very manageable. I do work full time and I do find the workload very manageable with working. And Melanie, I think those time estimates you had on the slide were pretty accurate. I mean, it might vary a little bit from week to week or month to month, but you're doing some evening reading or a little bit on the weekend too to get through things, but I wouldn't say it's like overly demanding. It's able to find a balance with things. I think probably where it's takes more scheduling is in the in-person times that we talked about, where you have to kind of carve out that time for travel and to be on the campus. So I live, I was saying in Semiahmoo near White Rock, Surrey. So I just traveled to campus for IHELP and drove, parked for the day and then headed home. So it's a long day, but it's definitely feasible if you're so I'm about just a little bit over an hour away from the Point Grey campus. So yeah, so just on that kind of practical level of the travel piece. And then I started the master's in health administration with UBC this past September. So just through my first semester with that program, and really want to acknowledge I know a few people have spoken about that carrying forward of some credits to honor the work and the learning in IHALP, which is I don't know that it ought to be revolutionary, but it is. It's so just so grateful that that is being carried forward and advocated for us to be able to receive credits for graduate level work through IHELP, because I was saying earlier, IHELP has been, I think, out of all my post-secondary, it's been the most learning for me, the most impactful learning. So really, really grateful and happy that we're receiving those credits. And I'm happy to talk about the master's too. It's been a great program. It's not an Indigenous specific program, but we do have a Indigenous cohort there this year. So I just think it's really cool that you can carry forward this learning if you want to continue on your learning journey too. And that this learning, it's very, very meaningful on a practical level in your work, and also meaningful if you want to continue with your education too. So, yeah.
Thank you, Garrity. Appreciate that. Okay, other questions, Serene?
Yeah, we have another person's wondering about the tuition and if they can pay it in installments.
Maybe I'll ask Cynthia Tam to answer this one. We have two Cynthias online.
Yep, you can pay in 2 installments. I believe the first installment is due in March, right before the program starts, and the second installment is due in August.
Thank you.
Of financial support. Is there a person that can assist with the financial support? Whether that be the grants, bursaries, or installments? Payments?
Yep, they can send an email to me at the IHELP email address. It's ihalp.exl@ubc.ca.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Next question is, this person works for a health authority and they're just wondering how if you suggest this course to help them move up to a leadership role or whatnot. I think they're just finding out if this is the program for them.
Yeah, so we do have people that have joined from different health authorities. So we have people that work for First Nations Health Authority or the regional health authorities, whether they're in a specific Indigenous program or maybe they're just working for a health authority. So there's definitely conversations in the room about those settings as well. And I think, you know, the skills that are gained in the program are really valuable in terms of the skill set for if people are looking to, you know, advance in their roles.
And this person's wondering if the program, either IHALP or IPH, is required to apply for the master program. I'm assuming the MHA.
Yeah, not required. And the Masters in Health Administration program, I believe their deadline for this coming September is beginning of March. And if anyone wants more information about that program too, we can connect you with the program staff there. And yeah, so people don't have to have taken these programs. These two programs are a support if so we have developed an Indigenous admissions pathway into the our admissions process. So there have been some people in the Masters in Health Administration that maybe don't have all the typically requirements for a master's level program, and in those situations, these two programs support their application because the learning in these programs, as we said, we are being recognized in the Masters in Health Administration. So it depends on your experience or your education background and work experience. But yeah, if you want more information, we can also connect you there.
On the topic of the MHA, how do the courses translate into a credit route?
So we are doing that on individual basis because each person is coming from a different program. So I don't think I could necessarily get into all the specifics right now, and it's something we're still like at the beginning of developing. So I don't want to get into too much specifics right now, but if you do want to learn more, I'll find the email in a moment that we could add into the chat, or people, if you want to email us, we can connect you there as well.
Question is, does this program include space for Inuit-focused considerations? Is this program appropriate for someone who works in an Inuit community? And then also, would you say IHALP is more focused on BC-focused relevance? Or is it also like more broad for outside of BC?
Okay, so I'd say the majority of the participants are First Nations or Métis in terms of what the experience in the room is that people are bringing. We have had Inuit participants and people and currently that are coming from like Yukon, Northwest Territories areas, and from as long as I understand, they feel like the program has been valuable for them. In terms of the readings that we have in the class, we do have some Inuit specific readings and resources. Because most of our instructors or all of them are in BC, I'd say there's probably still more of a heavier focus on BC experience. But maybe Kendra, if you want to speak to applicability, because you're from a different, living in a different province?
Yeah. Um, like although we're learning and getting together, in BC territories and stuff like that, it really is applicable to, I feel like, any nation, because when we come together and we speak about our experiences, it's it's all the same, like under all the same umbrella. We're dealing with all the same problems on our First Nation reserves, on our settlements and stuff like that. So, like I said, although we're congregating over there, like all the content we're learning is it's Canada wide. We're all like we're like I said, just experiencing all the bumps and roadblocks, and stuff like that. It's all the same. And I think it's very important that we have a lot of different First Nation people coming to, because we all bring different experiences in how to get through those roadblocks, how to go over those bumps and stuff like that. So I think that's very a valuable piece. Like we're all Canada wide, come from different nations and stuff like that, but like all of us has different experiences and different solutions to, the same problem. So I think it really is applicable whether you're Inuit, Métis, First Nations, or a really, passionate ally of First Nations people. So yeah, it's not just BC stuff. Like it's really applicable to everyone. So thank you.
Thank you, Kendra. Okay, any other questions? Sorry.
I think we might have two more. One is the master's MHA delivered hybrid as well?
And I was just thinking, we are going to be planning an Indigenous specific information session for the Masters in Health Administration program. That was a long sentence. We're looking at February 9th. So maybe we'll filter any questions that come in, maybe just through the IHALP email to keep it simple, and then we can let you know about that information session, because we'll have people from that program that would be able to answer those questions better than me. But I am involved with that partnership, so I have some knowledge on that as well. But yes, they have some hybrid options. Actually, maybe Garrity could speak to that if you wanted to. But the MHA program does have some in-person that are required to be in person, and then some classes that are fully virtual. And then they have an even what they call high flex option, where some people are in the room and then some people are on Zoom. They're like set up to do that.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right, Melanie. They will share the yearly schedule with you that really specifies when you're required to be there in person. I believe for last semester, so September to December, there were 2 weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, required for in person. And then there's some additional weekends in person if you live in the Lower Mainland. But if you live outside of the area, you're able to join online in those additional weekends where you don't have to travel because of that distance being outside the Lower Mainland. So, but yeah, definitely can have a look at the calendar, and it shows you specifically what's required for in person.
Thank you. I see appreciation in the chat for Kendra and Garrity sharing from their experiences. It's really valuable.
So one more. Does the credits also apply to the MPH masters?
So what I'm learning from this session is next time we should invite someone from the IPH program to join our information session. So I believe there is, but I don't know the specifics of that. So but we can connect you with someone that can answer that more specifically.
Great. That's it. That's all the questions. So do you guys have any closing remarks before we end the webinar?
Maybe I'll just say a few words of thanks and then ask Corinne to kind of close this off as well. So I just want to thank everyone for joining us in the webinar and for all your questions. I know it helps people. Other people are probably thinking of a similar question. So thank you for all your questions, and for everyone that joined us on the team here today to speak from your experiences as either a participant or a peer or part of the staff, and really want to honor and thank Corinne for coming and starting us off and ending us off in a good way. So I'm going to pass it over to Corinne.
Thank you so much, and I hope you can hear me. I really I'm so thankful to be a part of this group, and today especially, I want to thank Garrity for saying that this program has been most impactful for her, because it has been most impactful for me as well. And I want to clarify that that means forceful, it's producing a marked impression, it's influential, it's powerful, and it's effective. And that is this program. And as Kendra pointed out, these things that have happened all across Canada to First Nations people. In the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada, and the calls to action under HALP, it states that, and sorry, you may have seen me looking for my notes, but under HALP, Article 18, it says, we call upon the federal, provincial, territorial, and Aboriginal governments to acknowledge that the current state of Aboriginal health in Canada is a direct result of previous Canadian government policies, including residential schools, which so many of our parents and grandparents attended, and great-grandparents, and to recognize and to implement the healthcare rights of Aboriginal people as identified in international law, constitutional law, and under the treaties. So, as Kendra pointed out, this has affected all of us, all across Canada, and we all experience many of the same things, learned behavior because of fear of going to the dentist, of going to the hospitals, of going to see the doctor, of our treatment in those institutions. And so what I'm trying to do is just bring us up. There are all these little things that affect us on the day-to-day basis. But if you look at this from the 30,000 foot level, this will be one of the greatest things that you can do, and you can tell your friends and your colleagues about, to make it a real change in our future. So I would like to, and I mean in our future, in the larger sense, for all of our people. So I would like to thank you all for coming today. I'd like to thank you from the unceded territory of the Musqueam people. And I just want to say, IHALP CM, thank you for your time. Thank you for all of your very interesting questions and comments. And I look forward to meeting you in person at some point in time. IHALP CM. Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
Thank you everyone and all our guests for joining us today, and thank you so much the IHALP team. It's been so great to learn about the IHALP program and some of the students' experiences, the peer mentors' experiences, and also just like answering all of our great questions, because I know everyone's going to be interested in applying as soon as they can. But just before we end the webinar, we'd love to bring your attention to our upcoming webinars. We have Uplifting Indigenous Knowledge and Culture on January 24th at 10 a.m. And yeah, all our webinars are free to sign up for on our website at www.learningcircle.ubc.ca. And thank you everyone for joining us today. We look forward to seeing everyone at our next Learning Circle. Lim Lim, thank you.